Gauteng Premier David Makhura says that over 10,000 stands will be made available to residents who want to build their own homes. He also says his office will be working with national and local government to finalize incomplete housing projects. Makhura was delivering his State of the Province address, as I've been saying, at the Garangua venue there in Pretoria. To discuss this, now I'm joined by political analyst Sandile Swana. Mr. Swana, very good afternoon to you. Thank you for coming in. So I want us to begin then on that note that the Premier was making about issues of housing. Gauteng faces a unique housing challenge because it is the one province where people arrive by the thousand monthly. Are they on the right track?
Yes, I think the idea of, first of all, of making stands available to residents to build their own homes as they see fit, that is a prudent strategy, but that strategy needs to be supported by other things. For example, you need to make sure that you widen the list of approved building materials. In this country, we've been very narrow-minded in what a house actually looks like, but the idea itself is correct.
But it also speaks to the many communities where you go, where you've got informal settlements, for example, where people say, it's not even that we expect government to build houses for us. What we're saying is give us safe land to build, because ideally, based on the RDP or government housing backlog alone, we know that realistically, if people who arrive, let's say in Johannesburg, in 2020 were to apply, it would take them at least another decade, 15 years, to be allocated a government house.
Yes, that is absolutely true. Let's bear in mind that when you talk about the state of the province of Gauteng, Gauteng has got no equal anywhere in Africa. There is no place like Gauteng economically, population-wise, etc., etc. So there is probably in Africa a lot of inward migration into Gauteng. In South Africa, a lot of inward migration into Gauteng. In Europe, there are people who are still coming here from Eastern Europe and elsewhere into Gauteng. So you need to be very flexible and creative in how you create options for people to get housed. Otherwise, you're going to have uncontrollable squatter camps all over the show.
And just on the issue of travel, let me jump on then to another issue that pertains to that, the e-tolls saga still continuing. Makhura, in his speech today, not making any significant pronouncement on the future of the system. Where does that leave the relationship between the provincial government, national, and indeed Gauteng motorists who've made it clear over the years that they simply will not pay in the majority?
The e-tolls issue has united Gautengese, as I call them, across all colour lines. And it's unlikely that there will be any effort on the part of residents to pay for the e-tolls in any way. Makhura has put it out there that the Gauteng government would be prepared to foot the bill on its own. So we would expect that Ramaphosa and Tito Mboweni will start to create room for Gautengese among themselves, including their political leaders, to resolve the issue.
But it's quite interesting that the Gauteng government keeps making this point even today. The Premier saying that they believe the provincial government has made a compelling argument as to the future of e-tolls. But you go back a few months, Finance Minister Tito Mboweni was saying quite clearly, it even sparked that row on social media where he was saying, give unto Caesar what is due to Caesar. So bringing together those two positions is not going to be an overnight process.
Well, you can put it that way, but this process has dragged on for too long, and they've not been able to extract funds from the general public. The money that they get is from your AVCs of this world, the car rental companies, and so on and so forth, the fleet managers, the logistics companies. So that's the money that they are getting. The ordinary Tom, Dick, and Harry out there has got no time for e-tolls.
On infrastructure development, the Premier spoke about a figure of 60 billion rand, which will be spent on building and maintaining infrastructure. That's over a 5-year period. The creation of job expectation there is about 100,000 jobs over 5 years. That's a drop in the ocean over such a long time.
Yes, I think, Tembegile, we've got to be thankful for direction. When people start to make the right noises in the right direction, like Makhura and Cyril Ramaphosa have made these noises that they need to go back to the infrastructure program. This program, which Thabo Mbeki ran very aggressively, actually propelled the economic growth rate in South Africa. So it's a small start, but we're hoping that as time progresses, they will be much more aggressive in infrastructure building and construction.
It also, just on the word that you use there, propelling, and I remember the Gauteng township infrastructure, I think it was a propeller initiative that had been launched where the focus was meant to be on township economies. This was about 5 years ago. Again today, a focus on building the economy from as low as townships. Why is it that that does not appear to have got off the ground as had been envisioned all those years ago?
I think you've got to accept that there are people who have thought for some time that there are shortcuts. For instance, programs like the Gauteng, just to use another example. The Gauteng, there was no empirical evidence that we should build the Gauteng. It was a wrong decision from the start, but for political grandstanding, to show that we're doing something great, you do such things. So there's been a lot of waste of our money and our time doing projects that are good for political grandstanding but are unsustainable. But when I listen to Makhura today, he's going back to the original method of planning, where you go into scenarios, where you go into the detail of what it will take to produce a particular outcome. So the speech, yes, might be boring, but the speech has got to be boring, and we've got to invite more boring speeches that go into the nitty-gritty, that yes, in Garankuwa, that is what is going to happen. In Orange Farm, that is what is going to happen, and so on and so forth, and have timelines, have the nitty-gritty of the things that must happen. They've wasted, it's been a long holiday. Our politicians have been on a very long holiday.
A key issue, though, we've seen protests, in fact, coming from this problem. Just today in Soweto, people who are saying they will not settle Eskom debt. They want electricity prices lowered. They're saying, in fact, a flat rate of 100 rand per household. That's what people in Soweto are saying. How is this Makhura government going to deal with that issue? Because Eskom cannot continue to lose any more money. They owe it 18+ billion rand.
Yes. From my point of view, the problem that is in Soweto is a trigger that says when people are looking for services, those services must be proportional to their ability to pay. And there are methods, we know India is very busy with inventing these methods, and China as well, of saying how do you actually create services, community services, municipal services, and all kinds of services, telephone services that are highly affordable. And South Africa has not yet started that. UCT is dabbling into that, but South Africa has not been serious.
Is Soweto a political problem created by the ANC government?
Soweto is a political problem that is created by the South African government, the ANC government, and it will be solved by the ANC government. And there are possible ways of solving that problem. You cannot go there with a scope and donor approach. You will not solve that problem that way.
Political analyst Santi Leswana, always great to have you on.